The final showdown. The battle raged on, echoes of blaster fire and explosions ringing in Amelia's ears as she and her squad pushed deeper into enemy territory. With the Xoreth's communication lines severed, chaos had erupted among their ranks. The defenders pressed on, fueled by determination and the knowledge that their victory was within reach. "Keep moving. We need to get to their command ship," Amelia shouted, leading her squad through the remnants of the Xoreth's command post. They navigated through the debris, dodging sporadic fire from disoriented enemy soldiers. Linda flanked Amelia, her rifle at the ready. "The Xoreth are disorganized," she noted. "Now's our chance to hit them hard." As they advanced, they encountered a small group of Xoreth soldiers trying to regroup. Amelia felt a surge of anger at the sight of the enemy trying to regain their footing. She knew they had to be stopped before they could mount another attack. "Engage," Amelia commanded, raising her weapon and firing. The rest of her squad followed suit, their shots ringing true. The Xoreth soldiers fell one by one, unable to withstand the onslaught. "Let's move," Mike urged, glancing around to ensure they weren't flanked. They hurried forward, adrenaline pumping through their veins. Each step felt like a step closer to victory. As they neared the command ship, they spotted a massive structure looming ahead. It was heavily fortified, with Xoreth soldiers patrolling the perimeter. Amelia took a deep breath, knowing that this would be the most challenging part of their mission. "Okay, squad," Amelia whispered, her voice steady. "We need to create a distraction to draw their attention away from the entrance. Linda, can you provide cover fire from the ridge?" "On it," Linda replied, already taking position on a nearby elevated platform. "Mike, you're with me. We'll sneak around and try to breach the main entrance," Amelia instructed. The others nodded, determination in their eyes. With the plan set, Linda opened fire, her shots echoing across the battlefield. The Xoreth soldiers immediately turned their attention toward her, giving Amelia and Mike the opportunity they needed. "Let's go," Amelia urged, sprinting towards the command ship. They dashed forward, using the debris for cover, their hearts racing. The entrance was guarded, but they couldn't let that stop them. "Cover me," Amelia shouted, drawing her blaster as they approached the guards. With a swift motion, she fired at the nearest soldier, taking him down. Mike followed suit, his aim precise as he dispatched the second guard. "Clear," he called out, and they slipped inside the command ship, breathing heavily. The interior was a maze of metal and blinking lights. Amelia could hear the hum of machinery and the distant sounds of chaos from outside. They were in the heart of the enemy's operations now. "Where to?" Mike asked, glancing around. "Let's find the control room," Amelia replied. "If we can take it over, we can use their own systems against them." They moved cautiously through the corridors, avoiding patrols and carefully watching their surroundings. The tension was palpable, but they pressed on, knowing that their mission was crucial. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a group of Xoreth officers gathered around a large screen, their expressions tense as they reviewed data. Amelia and Mike exchanged a quick glance, realizing this was their chance. "Now or never," Amelia whispered, raising her blaster. "On my count. 3, 2, 1. They burst into the room, blasters firing. The Xoreth officers were caught completely off guard, and chaos erupted as the defenders stormed in. "Take them out," Amelia shouted, her heart racing. She focused on the nearest officer, taking aim and firing with deadly precision. Mike joined her, expertly dispatching the remaining officers. Within moments, the room was silent except for the sound of their heavy breathing. "Control room secured," Mike panted, glancing at the array of buttons and screens. "Let's see what we can do." "Let's take them out quickly," Linda whispered, adjusting her rifle. "I can cover you from here." "Do it," Amelia said, readying her weapon. Linda took aim and fired, her shot ringing true. The nearest officer fell, and chaos erupted among the remaining Xoreth. "Now," Amelia shouted, charging forward with her squad at her back. They surged into the command post, taking advantage of the confusion. Xoreth soldiers scrambled to defend themselves, but the defenders were relentless. Amelia fought with everything she had, fueled by the thought of protecting her home and her people. In the midst of the battle, Mike spotted a console. "I can disrupt their communications," he shouted over the sounds of gunfire. "Do it," Amelia called back, knowing that cutting off their communication could turn the tide in their favor. Mike rushed to the console, working quickly. The sound of blaster fire filled the air, but he was focused. "Almost there," he said, his fingers flying over the controls. As he worked, Amelia and Linda held the line against the Xoreth, their determination unwavering. They could see the enemy's morale wavering. The fear in their eyes was palpable. "Just a little longer," Mike shouted, sweat dripping from his brow. Finally, with a triumphant shout, he exclaimed, "Got it. Their communications are down." The defenders erupted in cheers. They had dealt a significant blow to the Xoreth's command structure. With their communications disrupted, the invaders were in disarray. "Let's finish this," Amelia yelled, charging forward with her squad. The defenders pressed on, their resolve stronger than ever. As they fought through the chaos, Amelia felt a sense of hope rising within her. They had shown the Xoreth that Earth would not back down. Together, they were an unstoppable force. With the command post in their control, the defenders set their sights on the remaining Xoreth forces. They were determined to push them back, to reclaim their home once and for all. As the battle continued, the defenders fought valiantly, fueled by their spirit and determination. They knew the Xoreth were powerful, but they also knew that humanity would fight with everything they had. And in that moment, as they stood together against the tide of darkness, Amelia realized that they had become more than just soldiers. They were protectors, guardians of their world, and they would not let it fall. The counterattack. As the sun rose higher in the sky, painting the battlefield in hues of orange and gold, the defenders rallied together. They had pushed back the Xoreth invaders, but Amelia Torres knew this was just the beginning. They needed to take the fight to the enemy and ensure that they would not return. "Let's regroup and plan our next move," Amelia said, her voice steady as she addressed her squad and the newly arrived Earth soldiers. The adrenaline from the previous fight still coursed through their veins, but they all knew that the Xoreth would not be defeated so easily. Mike, who had been working tirelessly at the command center's controls, looked up with determination in his eyes. "I managed to download the Xoreth communication logs. They're planning another attack, and they're sending in reinforcements." "Then we need to act fast," Linda, the sharpshooter, interjected. "If we can cut off their supply lines and take out their reinforcements, we might stand a chance to defeat them for good." Amelia nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Agreed. We need to gather intelligence on their positions and create a diversion. If we can split their forces, we can take them out one by one." "Let's send out scouting teams," Lieutenant Johnson suggested, his brow furrowed in thought. "They can gather intel on enemy movements and identify weak points in their defenses." As the teams began to organize, Amelia took a moment to survey the area. The damage from the earlier battle was evident. Buildings were crumbling and debris littered the streets, but the spirit of the defenders was unbroken. They had faced overwhelming odds and had emerged victorious. Once the scouting teams were ready, Amelia split them into groups. "You know your objectives," she said, looking each member in the eye. "Stay alert, gather information, and return quickly. We need to move before the Xoreth regroup." As the scouts set off, Amelia gathered her squad around her. "Linda, you and I will take the east side. Johnson, you and Mike cover the west. We'll coordinate our attacks once we have enough intel." "Got it," they all replied, a renewed sense of purpose coursing through them. The squad moved through the rubble-strewn streets, their senses heightened. They knew the Xoreth would be watching, but they were determined to gather information without drawing attention to themselves. "Stay low," Linda whispered, her sharp eyes scanning the horizon. "We don't want to be spotted." As they crept forward, they could see Xoreth soldiers moving about, setting up defensive positions and preparing for another assault. The sight of their enemies sparked anger within Amelia, but she pushed it aside. They needed to remain focused. Suddenly, a loud explosion erupted nearby, shaking the ground beneath them. Amelia and her squad ducked behind a wall, peeking around the corner to see what had happened. A group of Earth soldiers had launched an attack on a nearby Xoreth supply depot, throwing the enemy into chaos. The defenders took advantage of the confusion, pushing forward with renewed energy. "Now's our chance," Amelia yelled, feeling the rush of adrenaline. "Let's move." The squad sprang into action, moving swiftly to join the fray. They used the element of surprise to their advantage, catching the Xoreth off guard. "Fire in the hole," Mike shouted as he tossed a grenade into a cluster of Xoreth soldiers. The explosion sent them sprawling, and Amelia felt a surge of victory as they fell. "Keep pushing. We need to take out their command post," Amelia yelled, leading the charge. They fought together, side by side, and for every Xoreth soldier they took down, their confidence grew. As they approached the command post, Amelia spotted a group of Xoreth officers huddled around a map, likely planning their next move. This was their chance to disrupt the enemy's strategy. "Keep pushing," Amelia cried, rallying her squad. "We have to hold them back." The Earth soldiers joined the fight, their presence revitalizing the defenders. They pushed back against the Xoreth with newfound strength, the tide of battle shifting in their favor. With the combined forces of Earth's soldiers and the local militia, the Xoreth began to falter. They had never faced such fierce resistance before. The determination and courage of the defenders were palpable, striking fear into the hearts of the Xoreth invaders. As the chaos unfolded, Amelia spotted one of the captured Xoreth officers trying to escape. "Stop him," she yelled, pointing toward the fleeing figure. Linda's sharpshooter instincts kicked in. She took aim and fired, her shot hitting the officer squarely in the back, sending him sprawling to the ground. "Nice shot," Amelia shouted, relief washing over her. The Xoreth soldiers were now in disarray, their command structure crippled. "Now's our chance," Mike yelled, jumping up from his station. "Let's push them back." With the momentum on their side, the defenders surged forward, driving the Xoreth back. The streets echoed with shouts of triumph and determination. They fought together, united by a common purpose. In that moment, Amelia knew they had changed the course of the battle. They had proven that humanity would not back down, even against seemingly insurmountable odds. As the sun began to rise, illuminating the battlefield, the defenders stood firm, their spirits soaring. They had faced the mighty invaders and had turned the tide. The fight was far from over, but they had shown that together, they were a force to be reckoned with. "Let's keep going," Amelia shouted to her squad. "We will not let them take our home. Not today." The battle was just beginning, but they were ready to face whatever came next. As Mike began to interface with the control systems, Amelia scanned the room, taking in the displays. Maps of the battlefield and communication logs filled the screens, and she felt a surge of determination. "Can you disrupt their systems?" Amelia asked, knowing that if they could disable the Xoreth fleet's capabilities, they could turn the tide of the battle. "Give me a moment," Mike replied, his fingers flying across the console. "I'll reroute their systems and create confusion among their ranks." Amelia kept watch, ready for any incoming threats. The seconds felt like hours as Mike worked, but finally he looked up with a triumphant grin. "Done. Their systems are in disarray. We've just sent a false command to their fleet," he announced. "Perfect. Let's make sure we leave a mark," Amelia said, grabbing a small explosive device from her gear. She placed it on the console. "This will make sure they can't use this command chip again." With the device set, they hurried out of the control room, retracing their steps. The sounds of battle outside had intensified, and Amelia could feel the tide of the fight shifting in their favor. As they emerged from the command ship, they witnessed a remarkable sight. The Xoreth fleet was in chaos. Ships collided as they scrambled to respond to the false commands, and defenders took advantage of the situation, launching a full assault. "Look at that!" Mike exclaimed, pointing to the sky. "It's working." Amelia felt a swell of pride. They had dealt a significant blow to the Xoreth, but they couldn't rest yet. They needed to ensure that the invaders were pushed back for good. "Let's get back to the front lines," Amelia shouted, rallying her squad. They sprinted towards the chaos, ready to join the fight. As they reached the fray, the defenders were pushing forward with renewed energy. The Xoreth were disoriented, and the Earth soldiers seized the opportunity, fighting with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. Amelia led her squad into the thick of the battle, each soldier fighting valiantly. They had transformed from defenders to warriors, united against a common enemy. With every blast fired, they took a step closer to victory. The Xoreth were powerful, but they were not unbeatable. The spirit of Earth burned bright, and the defenders would stop at nothing to protect their home. In the midst of the battle, Amelia felt a surge of hope. They were on the brink of victory, and together, they would ensure that the Xoreth would never return to threaten Earth again. The turning point. After their success in the command center, Amelia Torres and her squad took a moment to regroup. They were weary, but their spirits were high. They had captured key Xoreth officers, and for the first time, they felt like they had the upper hand. "We need to use this moment to rally more fighters," Amelia said, wiping sweat from her brow. "If we can coordinate with the local militia, we can push the Xoreth back further." Mike, the squad's technician, nodded vigorously. "I can set up a communication line using their systems. If we can send out a signal to the other Earth forces, we can get reinforcements here quickly." Amelia turned to Linda, their sharpshooter. "Can you cover him while he works? We need to ensure we're not interrupted." "Absolutely," Linda replied, taking her position near a window with a clear view of the battlefield. As Mike began his work, tapping into the Xoreth communication systems, Amelia took a deep breath, her heart racing with anticipation. The earlier chaos outside had subsided, but the tension remained thick. They knew the Xoreth would not take their loss lightly. Outside, the Xoreth forces were regrouping, confusion evident among them. They had lost their command structure, and with it, their confidence, but they were not defeated yet. "Got it," Mike exclaimed, his fingers flying over the controls. "I've sent out a message to all nearby Earth forces. They should be on their way." "Excellent work," Amelia said, glancing outside again. "Now we just need to hold this position until help arrives." Linda adjusted her scope, scanning the perimeter for any sign of danger. "They're coming back," she warned, her voice steady. "I can see a group forming over there, and they look angry." "Let them come," Amelia replied, her determination unwavering. "We'll show them that we are not afraid." As the Xoreth soldiers charged toward the command center, Amelia's squad prepared for battle once again. They took up defensive positions, ready to fight for every inch of ground. When the Xoreth reached the building, they launched a fierce assault. Blasts of energy weapons lit up the darkened streets, and the air was filled with the sounds of chaos. "Hold the line," Amelia shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. She fired back at the advancing Xoreth, her aim true. One soldier fell, then another, but they kept coming, their relentless advance a testament to their training. Inside the command center, Mike worked furiously. "I'm trying to boost our signal," he said, sweat trickling down his forehead. "If I can get the rest of the forces here, we'll have the backup we need." "Just do your thing," Linda called out, taking a deep breath to steady her aim. "We've got your back." The Xoreth soldiers were relentless. They pressed forward, determined to reclaim the command center. Amelia could see their desperation. They were not just fighting for victory. They were fighting for survival. "Keep firing. We can't let them in," Amelia yelled. She felt a sense of responsibility for her squad, knowing that their lives depended on her leadership. As the battle raged on, a sudden explosion shook the ground. The command center's walls trembled as a nearby building crumbled from the Xoreth's artillery. Dust and debris filled the air, and Amelia had to fight to keep her footing. "Amelia, we're losing ground," Mike shouted, looking up from his console. "We need to hurry." "Almost there," Mike replied, his fingers moving faster than ever. Just as the Xoreth managed to breach the outer defenses, a familiar roar echoed through the streets. Amelia's heart leaped at the sound. Reinforcements had arrived. A squad of Earth soldiers, led by Lieutenant Johnson, charged into the fray. "For Earth," they shouted, and Amelia felt a surge of hope. Amelia peered through a broken window, trying to see what was going on. To her surprise, she noticed a group of local militia fighters joining the battle. These were not trained soldiers, but everyday people who had come together to defend their homes. "They're not waiting for orders," Amelia said, a spark of hope igniting within her. "They're fighting back." The militia's unexpected arrival seemed to catch the Xoreth off guard. Armed with makeshift weapons and a fierce determination, they charged into battle alongside Earth's soldiers. The unexpected alliance began to shift the momentum. "Now's our chance," Mike shouted, breaking Amelia's train of thought. "I've got control of the drones." "Let them loose," Amelia commanded, a grin spreading across her face. Mike pressed a button, and the drones, once foes, turned against the Xoreth soldiers. Their precise weapons fired on the enemy, creating chaos in their ranks. The Xoreth were thrown into confusion. Some soldiers looked up in shock as their own drones fired at them, causing panic and disarray. Amelia and her squad seized the moment, pushing forward through the chaos. "Let's go. Move out," Amelia yelled, leading the way. They dashed through the debris, dodging energy blasts as they made their way toward the heart of the battle. The militia fighters joined them, their morale boosted by the unexpected success. As they pressed deeper into enemy territory, they found a small group of Xoreth soldiers trying to regroup near a command center. "That's it," Amelia exclaimed, pointing to the structure. "That's where we need to be." With a nod, the squad moved in. The fighting was fierce, but the combined strength of the Earth soldiers and militia fighters proved too much for the Xoreth. They fought bravely, using every tactic they had learned from their respective experiences. Finally, they reached the entrance of the command center. The door was reinforced, but Amelia and her squad were determined. They set explosives, and with a loud bang, the door blew open, sending shards of metal flying. Inside, the command center was filled with blinking lights and holographic displays. Xoreth officers shouted commands, trying to regain control of their forces. But as soon as they spotted Amelia and her team, fear spread across their faces. "Stop them," one of the officers screamed, pointing at the humans. "They cannot be allowed to disrupt our command." Amelia raised her weapon, her heart racing. "We're here to end this," she declared. "Surrender now, and we might show you mercy." The Xoreth officers hesitated, fear evident in their eyes. They had never faced such fierce resistance before. The sight of humans, emboldened by their newfound alliance, made them question their earlier confidence. "Your kind has never won a battle against us," one officer shouted defiantly, but his voice wavered. "Today is different," Amelia replied, unwavering. "Today, we fight for our home, for our families, and for every person you've underestimated." With that, a fierce battle erupted inside the command center. Amelia and her team fought with everything they had, fueled by the knowledge that they were not alone. Earth was rising to defend itself, and in that moment, they knew they were stronger together. The Xoreth were pushed back, their defenses crumbling under the weight of the unexpected alliance. As Amelia fought through the chaos, she felt a renewed sense of hope. They were turning the tide. showing the Xoreth that humanity was not to be trifled with. As the dust settled in the command center, Amelia and her squad stood victorious, surrounded by the remnants of the Xoreth leadership. They had made their stand, and the battle was far from over, but they had proven that the spirit of Earth could not be broken. Together, they were stronger than they had ever imagined. Inside the building, they took a moment to catch their breath. The walls shook as the battle raged outside, but they were safe for the moment. Amelia glanced around at her team. We need to hold our ground. If we can withstand their initial attack, we might find a way to counterattack. As they gathered their strength, Amelia noticed a small group of civilians trapped in the crossfire. "We can't leave them," she exclaimed. Without waiting for a response, she moved toward the exit. "I'll get them to safety. Cover me." Her squad hesitated but quickly realized that they could not abandon anyone in need. They agreed to provide cover while Amelia dashed through the chaos. With each step, the sound of battle grew louder, but she pressed on, focusing on the civilians. She found them huddled behind a car, fear in their eyes. "Come with me," Amelia shouted, beckoning them. "We'll get you out of here." The civilians looked terrified, but followed her as she guided them back to safety. Her squad fired at the Xoreth soldiers, covering her escape as they made their way back to the building. Back inside, Amelia breathed a sigh of relief. The civilians were safe, but the battle was far from over. Outside, the Xoreth were regrouping, and the drones continued their relentless assault. Earth's soldiers were becoming weary, but they refused to give up. They had a fierce determination to protect their home. Kryn, frustrated by the unexpected resistance, called for a full-scale assault. "Show them our strength. We will not be defeated by mere humans." The Xoreth forces surged forward again, their numbers overwhelming. As the two sides clashed once more, Amelia felt the weight of the battle pressing down on her. But in her heart, she knew that this fight was not just about winning. It was about survival. Earth was their home, and they would do anything to protect it. The fight raged on, each side unwilling to back down. The clash of civilizations had begun, and as the battle continued, the humans and the Xoreth would soon learn just how far each side was willing to go. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and the outcome was still uncertain. Unforeseen alliances. The sounds of battle echoed through the city as Earth's defenders struggled to hold their ground against the relentless Xoreth forces. Captain Amelia Torres, weary but resolute, stood alongside her squad in the debris-strewn building. As explosions shook the structure, they knew that time was running out. They had to act fast, or they would be overwhelmed. "We need to find a way to disrupt their command," Amelia said, scanning the chaos outside. "If we can cut off their leadership, we might turn the tide of this battle." Her team nodded, their faces grim but determined. "What's the plan?" asked Sergeant Mike, a skilled technician who had always come up with clever solutions during their training exercises. Amelia thought for a moment. "We need to locate their command center. If we can get to it and disrupt their communications, we might cause confusion among their ranks." "Sounds good, but how do we get there?" asked Linda, a sharpshooter known for her accuracy. "It's crawling with Xoreth." "We'll have to create a diversion," Amelia replied, her mind racing. "Mike, can you hack into the drones? If we can turn them against the Xoreth, we might be able to create an opening for us to move in." Mike's eyes lit up with excitement. "I can try. I've been studying their tech ever since the invasion started. If I can find their signal, I might be able to hijack it." "Then let's do it," Amelia shouted. "We'll cover you while you work. Everyone else, keep an eye on the entrances. We can't let them flank us." With the plan set, Mike began to focus on the drone's signals, while the rest of the squad prepared for the diversion. Outside, the battle raged on, the Xoreth pressing their advantage. They were relentless, their advanced technology overwhelming Earth's defenses. As Mike worked diligently on his portable device, Amelia and her squad took positions, ready to fire at any incoming threats. Suddenly, they heard a commotion outside. The Xoreth soldiers had spotted something, and they turned their attention toward the source of the noise. "What's happening?" Linda whispered, her eyes scanning the area for any signs of danger. General Kryn looked upon the scene, a mix of confusion and anger in his eyes. "They dare to defy us," he growled, clenching his fists. "Prepare to send them a message they will never forget." The Xoreth charged toward the humans, their weapons drawn. The ground trembled as the clash between two very different worlds began. Earth had its own strength, one that the Xoreth had not anticipated. It was a strength born from unity, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. As the battle commenced, the Xoreth quickly realized that they had underestimated their foes. The humans fought back fiercely, using whatever they could find. In that moment, it became clear this would not be an easy victory. The stage was set for an epic confrontation between the mighty invaders and the determined defenders of Earth. The fight for survival had begun, and no one knew how it would end. The first clash. The battle raged on, the air thick with tension and the sounds of chaos. The Xoreth soldiers, confident in their armor and weaponry, charged forward, their blue skin gleaming in the sunlight. They unleashed a barrage of energy blasts at the humans, but Earth's defenders were ready. Soldiers from different nations had united, their faces grim but resolute. As the first wave of Xoreth soldiers approached, Captain Amelia Torres, a seasoned leader of Earth's forces, shouted orders to her team. "Hold the line. We need to push back." Her voice rang out over the din of battle, cutting through the noise. Her team nodded, determination evident in their eyes. They had trained for this moment, prepared to defend their home against any threat. Amelia's squad took cover behind makeshift barricades, using their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. As the Xoreth neared, they unleashed a counterattack. Earth's soldiers fired everything they had: bullets, grenades, and makeshift explosives. The first few blasts struck the Xoreth soldiers, causing them to stagger back. For the first time in centuries, the Xoreth felt the sting of defeat. General Kryn watched in disbelief as his soldiers fell before the humans. He had expected an easy victory, but the humans were fighting back with unexpected ferocity. "Regroup," he commanded, his voice booming over the chaos. "Do not let them intimidate you. We are the Xoreth." The Xoreth soldiers rallied, their fear transformed into rage. They pushed forward again, this time focusing their firepower on the barricades. Energy beams sliced through the air, and debris flew everywhere. Earth's soldiers ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding the blasts. The ground shook as explosions rocked the area, smoke and dust obscuring the view. Amelia fought fiercely, her heart pounding. She had seen friends fall in battle before, but this time felt different. This was not just about survival. It was about proving that humanity was not to be underestimated. She spotted a group of Xoreth soldiers trying to flank her position and called out to her team. "We need to cut them off. Move." With swift coordination, they moved as one, pushing through the chaos. Amelia led her team around the side of the barricade, surprising the Xoreth with a sudden flanking maneuver. The Xoreth, caught off guard, struggled to regroup as the humans attacked with renewed vigor. The tide of battle began to shift in favor of Earth. Kryn realized the danger and ordered his soldiers to fall back and reassess their strategy. "Use the drones," he shouted. "We need aerial support." High above, small, agile drones flew into the fray, armed with powerful weapons designed for precision strikes. They hovered above the battlefield, targeting the humans with laser-guided fire. The sky lit up as the drones unleashed their payload. Amelia watched as her team ducked for cover, the sound of explosions echoing in her ears. They had to regroup and find a safer vantage point. "Fall back to the building," she ordered, leading her squad toward a nearby structure. The mighty invaders. In a distant galaxy, far from Earth, there existed a powerful alien race known as the Xoreth. For thousands of years, the Xoreth had ruled over numerous planets, their reputation for strength and ruthlessness preceding them. They were tall, with blue skin and sharp features, adorned with advanced armor that glinted in the light of their home star. The Xoreth were warriors, and they thrived on conquest. They took pride in their long history of victories, having never been defeated in battle. At the heart of the Xoreth Empire was General Kryn, a fierce leader known for his cunning strategies and iron fist. Under his command, the Xoreth fleet had grown into one of the largest and most feared in the galaxy. Kryn was known for his confidence, which often bordered on arrogance. He believed that no force could stand against the might of the Xoreth. One day, as Kryn studied the star maps in his command ship, he overheard his advisors speaking of a small blue planet called Earth. "It seems this Earth is becoming stronger," one of them said. "They have developed new technologies and military strategies." Kryn's ears perked up. The thought of a new target excited him. He looked at his advisors and spoke. "We will show them the power of the Xoreth. Prepare the fleet for invasion. We will make Earth our next conquest." The decision was made. As the Xoreth fleet prepared for their journey, they outfitted their ships with the most advanced weapons and technology. Each ship was a massive fortress, armed with powerful laser cannons and shields capable of withstanding the most intense attacks. The Xoreth believed that their unmatched technology would guarantee them another easy victory. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued as usual. People went about their daily routines, unaware of the dark clouds gathering in the cosmos above them. Nations focused on their own struggles, unaware that a storm was brewing in the galaxy. However, in secret, Earth's leaders had begun to receive distressing reports from deep space scanners. These scanners detected the approach of an enormous fleet, millions of kilometers away, headed straight for Earth. Back on the Xoreth ships, the crew was filled with excitement and anticipation. They boasted about their past victories and eagerly shared stories of how they had crushed entire civilizations with ease. "This Earth will fall just like the others," one soldier said, his voice filled with pride. "They will beg for mercy, and we will show them none." General Kryn smiled at the enthusiasm of his crew. "Remember, we are the Xoreth. We do not know defeat. Today, we teach this Earth a lesson they will never forget." As the fleet traveled through the dark expanse of space, the Xoreth began to review their strategy. They planned to land on Earth, display their might, and force the humans to surrender. The general made it clear that he wanted to make a grand entrance, one that would send shockwaves through the galaxy. "We will not only conquer Earth, we will make an example of them. Let all the galaxies see what happens to those who dare to challenge us." The fleet entered the atmosphere of Earth. Bright lights filled the sky as the Xoreth ships descended, blotting out the sun for miles below. They landed in a vast area, creating craters where their massive ships touched down. The ground shook beneath them, and the air buzzed with energy. From their ships, they unleashed a fearsome roar that echoed through the valleys, sending chills down the spines of any who heard it. In the nearby cities, panic erupted. People looked up in horror as they saw the enormous ships blocking the sun. Sirens blared, and alerts rang out. News networks began to report the sighting of the alien fleet, and fear spread like wildfire. Government officials scrambled to emergency meetings, attempting to devise a plan to protect the planet. As the Xoreth stepped out of their ships, clad in their imposing armor, they were met with a sight they did not expect. Humans were not cowering in fear. Instead, they were gathering together. Citizens rushed to their homes to retrieve makeshift weapons. Soldiers from different nations united, determined to defend their planet.